everyone, welcome back to Show Me How to Win. We're visiting Origins 2021 and we're at the Capstone booth. Next to me is Josh and he's going to show me how to play and how to win Riftforce, the new two-player game from Capstone. What is the concept behind Riftforce? Tell me about the theme.
So the theme is that these rifts are opening in the ground, they're a source of power, and these different guilds are joining together to attempt to control the rifts and ensure that their guilds will be the ones that rise to power.
And so basically that translates into you have different factions in your hand and we're playing different factions, so my power is different from your power, right?
Correct. So we have 10 different guilds that are forming alliances to try to control the rifts. The guild cards, they explain what each guild is able to do, and then at the beginning of the game, one goes away and you draft from the remaining 9.
So basically, we each pick 4 and 1 will be ditched.
Correct.
So what are some of the good, powerful combos or things to avoid that you can share with us?
So, for example, right here is the Lightning and the Ice guilds. So these cards, they work with the battle line. So a lot of these factions and guilds, they work at the front of the battle line. Ice does extra damage at the back of the battle line, provided there's already damage there. Lightning can do damage at any point in that stack. So Lightning can put damage on the tail end, which most of these other cards can't do, and then Ice can deliver a way more powerful blow at the end of the line. Very similarly, the plant can work well with Ice because the plant pulls from an adjacent location, which will automatically put that card at the end of the battle line, and then the Ice can do 4 damage to that. On the other side, there's combos that you want to avoid. So, for example, the Crystal champions are more brittle. They do a lot of damage, but if they get killed, they're worth +1 to your opponent in terms of points. Well, the Shadow, if they kill something, because they do very little damage, anything they kill is also worth +1 point. So if a Shadow kills a Crystal, that's actually worth 3 points as opposed to the normal 1. So if your opponent drafts the Shadow, don't draft Crystal. And if you see your opponent draft the Crystal, you may want to grab the Shadow just for the opportunity to potentially be getting 3 points at one time.
So I got a demo of this game earlier. This is a 2-player game. You basically have a hand of cards that you're going to play heads up, try to defend your rifts, and in each guild there's how many cards? There's 5, 6, and 7s. What's the distribution of the numbers?
So you have 4 5s, 3 6s, and 2 7s, so 9 cards. And then you'll get 4 different factions, making a deck of 36 cards. When you play cards down on the board, you either play them all the same number or all the same suit.
Okay, and when we run out of cards, we just keep cycling the cards?
Yes.
Until somebody has how many points?
Until somebody has 12 points. You get points by taking out enemy champions or by controlling areas of the rift.
So let's say these are the 8 factions that we're going to work with. These are my 4, and these are your 4. So we start by drawing 7 cards.
Correct.
And then in our hands, we will have seeing some 6s, some 5s, and some 7s. The numbers of the cards means their HP, their hit point. Also, when I play a card, on my turn, I can play up to 3 cards of the same number or the same faction, same guild, right?
Correct. So, for example, here we have 3 cards from the Ice faction that we could play all 3 of them. Now, they can either go to adjacent locations or they can all be dropped into the same location. Similarly, we could drop 3 6s, and that's those same rules, either to adjacent locations or all to the same location. You decide what order they go in when they are placed, and that can be very important for how some of these abilities work.
So what are some of the things that we should look out for in the beginning of the game? If I have a bunch of the same numbers, a bunch of the same colors, what should I do?
So the important things about the game are to control areas of the board. There's potential for your opponent to get points if you don't have presence in some of these areas. So it's important to get people onto the board as quickly as possible. Now, there is a step in the game where you refill your hand. And so that's the only way to get cards. So early on, it's important to look for your combos and how they're going to work together and to work towards those. So looking at your hand, you want to see if you have a lot of the same number or a lot of the same suit, and also how you can activate those cards. So activating a card consists of discarding a card, and that card you either activate 3 of the same suit or 3 of the same number. So it's important to look for what cards will I be able to activate any of these cards that are coming out. If I can't, then maybe I need to see, well, just controlling areas until I can draw, and then hopefully activating after that. But starting to set up for those combos that are going to allow me to do devastating damage all in one go.
So basically, if I have three 5s and 2 6s and 2 7s, I will be a fool if I play all 3 5s out because I won't be able to activate them, right?
Not all at the same time. You may be able, let's say 2 are one faction and 1 is the third faction. You may be able to discard a card and activate 2 of the same faction, but activating all 3 at the same time won't be possible.
Because I can use a different, because they might not be the same faction. So I can play all my 5s, but then if I have the right faction card or guild card to activate them later, I can still activate them.
You can still activate. You can activate up to 3 cards.
So we'll just say it'll be a good strategy to have maybe 3 5s and 3 6s and 3 7s on the board. That'll be a good start.
It's definitely a good start. The other thing to look out for is if you can get 4 cards of the same faction in your hand, being able to play all 3 of those and then subsequently activate them with the 4th card of the same faction would really give you a boost early on.
Great. Okay. So another actions you can do, so you can play cards, you can activate cards, and you can draw cards. Drawing cards at the right time will also give you points. So tell me about that.
So when you go to control areas of the rift, if you have a card somewhere where an opponent doesn't, when you go to check and draw, any areas that you have a card and your opponent doesn't, you will get 1 point for. So times that you may be looking to draw is when you know your opponent's going to have to draw, because that will give you almost a free turn where they'll have to take a turn to draw. Or if your opponent has left multiple areas on the table that are uncontrolled. If your opponent has left you 2 areas, getting 2 points in 1 turn is a very successful turn, even though you haven't really played any cards. It's given you a big step forward. So looking for those times when you are controlling extra areas of the rift.
So now, say I'm playing and I haven't been lucky, I have bad cards. That's why I'm losing. It's not because I'm not a good player. What are some of the good ways to catch up, maybe?
The best ways to catch up are to realize which combinations are best for your opponent. So when you see your opponent is putting things together, concentrate on the ways that you can move the cards around. So a lot of these cards will give you the ability to move to other areas. And so if you can keep your more fragile cards out of harm's way, it'll give you time to get your combos back up and running.
Well, great, Josh. Thank you so much for showing me how to play and how to win Riftforce. And thank you guys for watching.